California. And today we're going to be talking about digital marketing in SharePoint 2010 and some of the improvements on the platform and how business users can now circumvent some of the old traditional bottlenecks in web content management and marketing and publish their content directly to SharePoint using some of the terrific new features. So taking a look at the agenda, we'll just briefly get an overview of what today is going to cover. We'll talk about the definition of web content management and some of the related topics therein in SharePoint 2010. We'll talk about, and we'll also look at a live demo of this process of actually creating a product and publishing that on a public-facing website. We'll look at some of the analytics, SEO, and some of the other optimizations related to marketing that come in SharePoint 2010. We'll do a quick about us, about Neudesic, and then we'll go right into the Q&A session. So I hope you've got some good questions lined up after this. Okay, so just an overview of today. We're going to provide an overview of what is involved in creating web content management, WCM content, in SharePoint in a Web 2.0, 3.0 world, what some of the enhancements around that are. Deliver an understanding of some of the new features in SharePoint 2010, specifically around marketing and web content management. And my goal today is to excite you and really empower you with these new capabilities so that you can go back and hopefully start using these. Okay, so what is web content management? So specifically, it's four subtopics. Authoring rich web pages and digital content with a familiar user experience, usually using some templates to provide some consistency. Web content management is also about branding your website the way you want, using rich tools and capability. We'll look at that within SharePoint. We have some great examples of that to show you. Control, gain insight into your website with workflow and reporting. So managing content is not just about publishing it, but it's about using it to work within your business and your processes and modifying it to meet the needs of your business. And then using a unified platform, you can work on a product at the team level, the divisional level, on the intranet, extranet, and finally, once you and your partners have created a compelling product or piece of content, you can publish that out to your intranet site. So SharePoint 2010 represents a great unification of all of these levels of site. Okay, so SharePoint, user experience, and web content management. So just take a look at a default, out-of-the-box SharePoint publishing portal. It's certainly not anything you want to go to market with. It's pretty stodgy. It's just a bare-bones example. Contains all of the features you would expect on a publishing portal, but it just doesn't look that terrific. In fact, I think it's pretty ugly. Definitely not a design-driven experience. It's purely functional, gives you some examples of how you can publish your content, but certainly not designed well. One of the favorite examples of a web content management site in the SharePoint platform is Ferrari. Now this is a well-designed experience. This is building on the out-of-the-box features in SharePoint with a really tight branding strategy that's really geared to exciting the consumer about their product, as if they have to do a lot of that anyway. Neudesic, we have quite a bit of experience designing SharePoint WCM sites ourselves. All of these sites you see before you here are intranet and extranet sites that we've developed, and most of these we actually host for our clients. We'll see the majority of these sites are actually Microsoft sites. So we host some of the Microsoft Partner Network sites, the SharePoint Deployment Planning Services site, the Surface Quick Start site. You'll see we have a couple of extranet examples here, and a couple of private companies as well, like CBRE, Prefast, and Goodman. So all of these sites, we work with the client and created a branding strategy, page layouts, CSS. We took that and applied that to the SharePoint platform. So these last two slides just give you a good example of what you can do. So you're certainly not limited to what comes out of the box with SharePoint. This next example, just want to stress this is the before photo of a custom app dev. It's the custom intranet site that Jack in the Box had, and we were brought in to redesign and replatform this on SharePoint. And this is an internal content management site. So after our UX sessions and after we designed their publishing workflow, we came up with something like this. So this is currently the Jack in the Box employee intranet. You'll see it's got really tight focus branding. All of their publishing processes are integrated, and it's actually the portal that all of their franchisees see as well. This is available to all 900 plus franchisees across the country. Just another good example of some of the possibilities available with the branding of SharePoint. So SharePoint 2010, I don't know how many of you out there have used SharePoint 2007, but the rich offering in SharePoint 2010 is greatly improved and really is a compelling feature, especially if you're familiar with the Office 2007 platform, because you'll see that it brings in the Office ribbon here. So what that provides is an easy-to-use, familiar interface to all of your users that is context-sensitive. So depending on where you are on the page, it actually changes context to fit what you're doing. It's also cross-browser compatible, so it works not only in Internet Explorer, as in some of the previous versions of the tool, but it also works in browsers like Firefox, browsers like Chrome, and Safari as well. So creating a site, creating a page, creating a piece of content in SharePoint used to be, or just creating a page in a website used to be the purview of your web team, of your IT folks, or some sort of a technical person. You would provide the specifications and you'd say, okay, go and create this page. Now, there was definitely a lot more work than was really necessary. Here in SharePoint 2010, creating a new page, product, feature is very simple. It's designed to empower business users, marketing users, to actually go out and create content and get around that traditional bottleneck that has sort of existed in the web era. So digital assets also have presented some unique hurdles, not just in SharePoint, but on the web. Publishing these and manipulating them once they are published to the web has always been kind of difficult. So one of the things that we're going to look at in the demo is working with digital assets. And the asset library in SharePoint 2010 makes that a lot easier, from uploading the content to previewing it. What you see here on the screen here is actually just simply clicking the piece of content, brings up all of the metadata, lets you preview it, lets you manipulate it to a certain extent right within the browser. So you're not sitting there right-clicking on the image, looking at the URL, maybe going to another system within your business and finding out some of the metadata before you say, all right, this is the right asset I want to publish with my product. It's all right there at your fingertips. Okay, so now I'd like to go and actually do a live demo. So I'm going to go ahead and share my desktop. Hopefully everyone can see this. All right, so this site, Neudesic.com, this is a public-facing website. You can actually go there now if you'd like, but let's actually stick with the demo because what I'm going to show you, you won't be able to do, but you can browse this website later. This is an out-of-the-box SharePoint publishing site that was customized using CSS. This is nothing too difficult to achieve. This is done using CSS and a free tool called SharePoint Designer, and we've simply manipulated some of the styles within the site, and we've also created some called content query web parts to go through the site and pull up interesting items that we've said should be part of the home page. We've marked these particular items as worthy of being featured on the home page, and we'll look at how to do that. But just to stress that this was created with minimal developer involvement. A designer actually created most of this using CSS and HTML knowledge. This isn't something that had to be programmed by IT. Just removing one more barrier there between you and getting your compelling content and branding out there on the web. So our goal here is to publish a product, and we've got a new camera that we'd like to add. So let's go to the products landing page. We're on the cameras and camcorders products landing page, and you'll see that obviously this is tailored to all of our digital cameras and camcorders, and we bubbled up a similar featured products part here that was also available on the home page, but this one is targeted to metadata specific to cameras and camcorders. And all of these web parts here, the wikis, the product data sheets, and featured products, these are out-of-the-box content query web parts that we've configured to look at specific pieces of content within our site collection, and that will bubble these up onto the cameras and camcorders landing page. Okay, so if we go on with creating our new page, let's see, so one step that let's just go back for a moment. One step I did before we started the demo was I logged in, and I did that just so that the site would be ready and everything. But when I am logged in as a system account, if I wasn't logged in, I obviously wouldn't see the site actions where I can manipulate the site as an anonymous user, as just a Joe consumer out there. I am not going to see this whole blue bar up here. And after we're done, I'll log out and you can see that. But let's get on with creating our new product. Okay, so what IT has done is they've done a good job of creating governance policies around new product and page creation, so that I can't go as a marketing person and bring down the Neudesic website. So they've locked it down to make it very simple for me just to fill out the product information that as a marketing person I am intimately familiar with. So they only give me enough access to do my job so that we maintain a nice, consistent, and user-friendly site. so that I'm not off styling new pages and creating fantastical new layouts that haven't been approved by the business and or IT. So today we're going to create our M300 camera. About the title, create. Okay, and this is our page layout that we've defined with the help of IT for our camera product. You'll see we have this ribbon here, but some of the features have been disabled. So as part of the governance process, IT has locked down some of these features so that there is some consistency, as I previously mentioned, and so that I can't create a bunch of unique styles for this page. They have, however, given me, we have defined, the marketing powers that be have defined a certain number of styles that I can use that are approved by corporate for this page. So I do have some design control, but it's really locked down, and that's good. Okay, so I imported my title. I want to add some content. I want to say 300 camera is a great item. Check it out. Obviously not the guy you want writing your marketing copy. But, okay. So going back to the ribbon here, as I mentioned before, it's context sensitive. So now when I'm ready to, once I'm done editing text, I can go and switch over to choose some media that I'm interested in presenting with this product. So let's find a video. And as soon as I clicked on this web part, you'll see that the context of the ribbon changed. So it's really targeted to what I'm doing right now. So you don't see a bunch of superfluous information. You're just seeing what you need to work on right now. And this is the media player web part. This is a great part of SharePoint 2010. It plays media and streams it directly from SharePoint. So there's no caching, no loading of content before it plays. It actually harnesses some of the new features in IIS and SQL Server to stream bit by bit directly from SQL. So as soon as the user clicks play, it'll start streaming. So there's no lag time. So we'll take a look at that in a minute, but I just wanted to mention that. Okay, we want to start the media automatically. We'll name this M300 promo. Now let's go browse for our media. Okay, just going back really quick. Change media. We can select not just from SharePoint right here, which is the default, but we can select from our computer, from a public web address, or we can remove whatever media might be in there. In this case, we're going to go directly to SharePoint because that's where our graphics department has uploaded all of these digital assets for us to use on our marketing website. Okay, so we're going to go directly to our digital assets library, where we're going to see our M300 video that the graphics department has created for us. And like I was mentioning earlier about the assets library, the digital assets library, checking out the properties and previewing is pretty easy in SharePoint 2010. You'll see that all I have to do is click on the item, and I get this nice pop-up here, which shows me all the metadata, including how big it is, the picture size, the file type, any sort of associated data that this video has. And what's especially cool is I can preview it directly within the browser. So I don't have to double click it and wait for Windows Media Player to load or Live Media Player to load. It just previews right within the browser and streams immediately using that same streaming technology I just mentioned due to SharePoint 2010. And I even get editing capabilities here too. So if I really need to I can edit some of this metadata before I use it on our products sheet. But enough of that. Let's select the M300 video for our product page. Select it, and there it is. Now that I've added it, I can see exactly what it looks like in my product page. Okay. As another piece of our page layout, in addition to the title, obviously we have a description, we have media, we also have related wikis. So these two web parts, related wikis and product data sheets, these are also content query web parts that go and, based on the metadata that we're about to add, they'll actually dynamically pull in the data. So let's add some metadata fields for our product. Okay, now this capability that I'm showing you right now, this is actually pulling from our company term store, and what that is it's enterprise metadata that defines all of our company's products and common terminology, and gives us a great way to categorize and make more searchable and more relevant all of the products that our company has. So we're going to go find our M300 camera. I'm going to define the sales territory, North America, so it's available on our North American site. If I defined maybe a European site, our product would only show up on our German website, because as a global products company, Neudesic has sites targeted to all of these regions across the world. This specifically is a North American product, so we just want to target it there. So we'll select North America. And then for search engine fields, SharePoint 2010 is designed to work with your SEO strategy. So we can add a brief description that some of these robots will crawl, and then hopefully our product will show very highly in search results for digital cameras when people Google that. So for keywords, you'll see that we're presented, with a nice type-ahead interface when we type here. All of these are pulling not only from our company term store that I just mentioned that define our products and regions, but these also pull from what's called in SharePoint 2010 a folksonomy, which are terms that aren't defined necessarily at the corporate level, but by the maybe at the marketing level. So for instance, if I choose digital marketing, that's a keyword that maybe someone in marketing defined at some point, and now it's available for me to use and search on. So we saw that featured products web part on our products page, and this is what actually rolls the content up into that web part. So we're going to go ahead and click on that. So when we're done, we'll actually be able to see this product roll up into that web part on the products landing page. Okay, and to have something to show in that web part, you need a roll-up image. So what we're going to do is go back to our visual assets in SharePoint. And we're going to find our M300 among all of our other product images. We'll go find our M300 product image. We can preview it here. Yeah, this looks like the one. So we're going to go ahead and select it. make sure we're playing nice with the search engines and browser compatibility type issues. Define things like horizontal and vertical spacing, so we really do have a lot of control. Okay, this is the default image size, but our web part constrains the image size so we don't have to worry about it messing up the alignment, because this is a pretty big image for our page. Okay, I think we're just about ready to publish our new product to the public-facing website. So now we can come to the publishing toolbar here. So we just give it the once-over, add a little bit more content. What a glaring spelling error. Unfortunately, our publishing process, I clicked the publish button and SharePoint was smart enough to find that, hey, I've got a spelling error here. So it really can save you. Okay, so I go back to this word and I see that it's suggesting the right spelling available. So now my content is nice, ready to go. Another nice thing that goes on behind the scenes of the publishing process is that SharePoint actually goes and not only looks for spelling errors, but behind the scenes it also looks at your assets. Anything linked on the page, it makes sure that all of those are in published status, because just like a page in SharePoint, a digital asset can also be in draft status. So if that's not published, SharePoint will actually flag that and say, hey, you can't publish this page yet because some of the items you've linked on that page are not published, and hey, you don't want your users to see that dreaded red X, or worse yet, have an authentication prompt on the site. Not something not something that inspires confidence in the people that are interested in buying your product. So we'll add some comments so that later on, if we revise the page, we can see what happens, or if someone else edits this page later, we can go and see a nice timeline of what's going on. So we'll go ahead, publish the page, and here we go. This is our finished product. You see our video plays automatically. For some reason, our related wikis content is not showing up here. Data sheet. Just so I can edit this page real quick. Okay, so that's the product publishing process. Very simple to do. No involvement of IT. Also, we saw the strong governance policies that have been put into place to keep us from what I'll call over-editing the site. So we're just responsible for the purview of the product and not the actual design of the overall page itself. We're just designing this one product by creating metadata. And we do have some limited flexibility in what we can do, but that is not the point of this. The point of this is just to create exactly what we have been tasked with doing. One other thing to mention about the publishing process is that we can attach workflows to it so that your business has a multi-stage product approval process. This is kind of a dream scenario where a multinational company, one person is responsible for publishing a product to the public-facing website. In reality, this will go through a lot of checks and balances to make sure that the right content's out there, to make sure that the copy is correct, and SharePoint can be adapted to fit all of those approval processes. So now if we go back to our products page, back to cameras and camcorders, we'll see that by checking that box, we have made the M300 camera a featured product on the products page. And all of this was configured and not programmed. That's just one of the things I really want to stress. We didn't have any developer involvement. We didn't have anyone have to come in and edit this page. This is just a roll-up web part that shows all the products that have been targeted for this process. All right, so now we'll go back to our slides. I hope everyone got a good sense of how easy it is to actually create a new piece of content in SharePoint. Now we'll talk about some of the other optimizations in SharePoint 2010 is from a web marketing standpoint. So just from a standards point of view, I mentioned this earlier about cross-browser compatibility, but the support of XHTML and sort of some of the commonly used web standards really makes SharePoint 2010 a very viable choice for your public-facing website. By embracing these standards, Microsoft has taken a big leap forward and really joins the rest of the world and the rest of the product space out there with this standard support. So from an SEO or search engine optimization standpoint, there are still some nagging issues with SharePoint. What's called the pages context still exists. So in the source, there are some little inconsistencies, but those can be worked around. From a web analytics point of view, the reporting in SharePoint 2010 is really out of sight. It lets you customize your results. It has some actually consumer-facing web parts that lets your users see what's most popular on the site and gives you a lot of new reports and alerts that can be created for your SEO team. So right now, we're just looking at some of the web analytics capabilities. This is one of the out-of-the-box reports, and these can be customized. You can create new reports, but this just shows a graph that shows you the number of page views in the site. So it provides a lot of those capabilities that you would normally find in a third-party tool. Here's another report. This is the page views over the last 30 days, and it shows you a lot of the information. You can drill down into this information. This is all great SEO stuff. You'll see up here that it lets you export it to a spreadsheet. So if you do have a third-party tool, something like a Web Trends, you can easily import this data in there, or you can mix it, match it, and slice it and dice it however you like. So that data is available to you any way you want. And you'll see this customize report button. You can actually go in and change the way the data is displayed or You can even change the parameters. And again, that just demonstrates a lot of the power and flexibility that SharePoint gives you. It's all about empowering the end user and giving you more control over your site. So just a little bit about Neudesic before we go and get to the Q&A. So we're a nationwide Microsoft National Solutions Integrator. We're a Gold Certified Partner, and we have offices located nationwide. We were founded in Irvine, California in 2002, and we've been growing steadily ever since. We have a number of practices. We started out as a custom application development .NET shop, and we've grown to these other practices in the last 8 or so years, including BI, connected systems, CRM, and a managed services practice, which is where most of those example sites that I showed you are actually hosted for Microsoft and other clients. And our portals and collaboration team, a really large number, is probably our fastest growing practice. And our team is really one of the most experienced out there from a knowledge of SharePoint. We have quite a few members of our portals and collaboration team that are ex-SharePoint, Microsoft SharePoint team members, so guys that built the original SharePoint. Simeon Caffey, our GM for portals and collaboration, actually was in charge of the team during the 2003 product cycle, and he brings just a wealth of knowledge and connections and experience to the team. So we're really lucky to have him. From a branding standpoint, we looked at some of our capabilities in that arena. Branding SharePoint, there are a number of different ways to do it, but we're fortunate again to have people that have worked on such clients as MTV, who worked with Razorfish, so we have a wealth of experience there. So now, without further ado, I'd like to see if there are any questions anyone has.
Thank you, Grant, for this presentation. We did have one question come through. Be sure and go ahead and click on the Q&A and type in your question if you have any questions that you would like to ask Grant at this point. I'll go ahead and ask the first question. How easy is it to add a new workflow to the publishing process?
That's a great question. Adding a workflow to the publishing process, there are a number of different ways to do it. So SharePoint comes with a rich out-of-the-box capability. So if I wanted to go to the publishing, to my pages library where my products live, I can easily attach a workflow that runs prior to the publishing taking place. There is an approval, there's a 3-step workflow, there's a signature gathering workflow that all come out of the box. So I can use those just as a business user. I can attach those. Now moving back a step, we can use that free tool SharePoint Designer that I was talking about earlier to actually design new workflows or customize the out-of-the-box workflows to work in that product's publishing process. So if I'm maybe a power user or if I'm someone with a little bit more IT and business experience, a little bit more technical experience, I can go and create a drag-and-drop workflow in SharePoint Designer and then publish that to SharePoint and make it available to that publishing process for my products. And taking another step, I can go to my developers and they can open up Visual Studio and create a very technically intricate workflow and then, again, publish that to my SharePoint site. One of the most interesting things I think about SharePoint 2010 is the new capability where Visio can be used by a business user to lay out a workflow, and then they can hand that off, and it can be imported into SharePoint SharePoint Designer and then publish to my products process. So just there are a number of different ways to achieve workflow in SharePoint 2010. I wish we had more time. This is something that we could devote an entire webcast or three to. So thank you for that question.
Okay, great. There doesn't seem to be any further questions at this time. Please feel free to type them in if you come up with any. In the meantime, I'm going to click through a few of the polling questions, and we would greatly appreciate it if you went ahead and answered these questions. So the first question, was this content helpful for your business? Yes or no? We'll give everyone just a few seconds. Next question. Please rate the presentation content. Excellent, good, poor. Thank you, everyone, for your participation. Final question. Would you like us to schedule a follow-up? Yes or no? Give everyone just one more second. Thank you, everyone, for answering. If there are no further questions, which there doesn't seem to be, we would like to thank Grant again for this wonderful presentation. This webcast is a part of our SharePoint series. We will be hosting our next webcast, Business Process Automation in SharePoint 2010, on December 1st. We will be forwarding out the recorded version of this presentation when it becomes available, and will include more information about the upcoming webcast. If you have any further questions about this presentation, please feel free to email Grant or myself. Again, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on our next webcast. You are now all free to disconnect.